We love our cellular shades from Blinds.com. They're beautiful and make our entire house feel more like home.
Thousands of customers update their home every month with Blinds.com. Whether you just moved to a new place or just want to give your home a little love this fall, go to Blinds.com for brand new window treatments and make your house feel more like home. Blinds.com makes it easy and affordable to upgrade your whole house with the latest styles, premium materials, and even motorization, with no hidden fees or misleading quotes. Not sure where to start? Get advice from a Blinds.com professional design consultant for free. Whether you want to do it yourself or have them handle the measuring and installation for you, Blinds.com has you covered with free shipping and a 100% guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com now to shop and save up to 35% off site-wide. That's Blinds.com for up to 35% off. Blinds.com. Pay over time with PayPal credit at Blinds.com. PayPal credit is subject to credit approval. Visit Blinds.com/PayPal for details. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Everything is better electrified. Like the guitar, toothbrushes, or cars. And Hyundai has the widest range of electrified vehicles on the market, including the first ever Tucson and Santa Fe plug-in hybrid EVs. You can use electric when you want it or gas when you need it. It's your journey. Evolve it beyond the pump in the 2022 Tucson or Santa Fe plug-in hybrid EVs. Visit your nearest Hyundai dealer or learn more at HyundaiUSA.com. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
Broadcasting live from the Hyundai Studios, presented to you by your local Hyundai dealers. This is where Chicago goes to talk Bears. Sports Radio 670 The Score, Chicago's home for Bears fans. WSCR and HD Chicago, WBMX HD2 Chicago, an Odyssey station. The Score!
This hour is brought to you by Team Hochberg. Visit their website, 56david.com. That's 56david.com.
I know you got Matt Miller on all the time.
Matt Miller.
Here I come. You ready?
NFL and NFL draft analyst at thedraftscout.com.
I gave him a 69 overall, so very nice grade for him.
Going through college and NFL film.
Jalen Johnson, he gets it. He's smart, he's tough, he's feisty, 6 foot, 193, ran a 4.5 flat. He knew he needed labrum surgery, went ahead and did the combine. Did the entire thing with a torn labrum, so I love this guy.
Matt Miller with Bernstein and Rahimi on The Score.
That's how we get started with Matt Miller. He is at NFL Draft Scout. He watches the football, all of it, college, pro, and he joins us now via the Circa Resort and Casino hotline. Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, home of the world's largest sports book. Matt, how are you on a very exciting college football weekend?
Layla, I'm doing great. You're right. It is. Like all week, people have been asking me, what are you doing this weekend? Like, I'm not leaving my house. That's what I'm doing this weekend. Don't bother me. Don't make plans for me. Starting tomorrow, as soon as I wake up, it's all football for me tomorrow.
I absolutely agree. I think it even starts tonight. You've got 2 4-0 teams, Iowa and Maryland. And Dan Bernstein, who is out today taking Zoe to Parents' Day at her college, he and I have been retweeting and just watching constantly the same video that you have, and it's the video of Iowa's center just doing absolute work, setting the edge. It's one of my favorite football videos, maybe of the season. So what's your impression of him and just Iowa in general and how well they've been playing against a Maryland team that's undefeated too?
Yeah, I mean, it is a good matchup, like you said, because we get these 2 undefeated teams. I think people have maybe forgotten that Maryland is also undefeated, so it will be a very good game. You're right. The Tyler Linderbaum video, the one you're talking about, is one of my favorite videos I've ever seen, and the Cole Kublik at ESPN does a great job. He's the first person I saw tweet it, and it was just like, I mean, it's like amazing to see a center pull and just work down the field blocking like 3 people before it's all said and done. He is the best prospect that will be in this game tonight. If people want to watch that at 7 o'clock, he is the top prospect. And I was a little late to the party on him. I want to raise my hand and admit this. And I had a couple, guys who do offensive line consulting and coaching. They're like, Matt, you got to get up on this kid. He's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like he's kind of small though, but it doesn't matter because he's even at 6'2", 290. He has exceptional strength. His agility is off the charts good. So not often do we get super excited about watching interior offensive linemen, But I know Bears fans. I see your tweets, Bears fans. I know you need help on the interior. I don't think Tyler will be there in the second round for you, but a very good prospect to watch tonight, as well as their running back Tyler Goodson, who's having a fantastic season.
Yeah, that was my sadness about it. Was the Bears don't have a first rounder, and he certainly looks like he's going to be one.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I was late to the party on it, but I'm jumping on the bandwagon with the Hawkeye fans who've been screaming at me for a month. That's the fun part of my job. Like, you do try to watch as many players as you can, but sometimes it will just be like an obnoxious fan on Twitter. There's a Penn State fan who's just been riding me all week about their wide receiver Jahan Dotson. And I was like, hey, I like him. And I'm gonna get caught up on film. I don't get to watch every game on Saturday as they happen. I have to get caught up through the week. And my man was right. He's a better player than I had him graded for. So I do actually really appreciate the obnoxious fans who will get on me a little bit and be like, hey, you got to get up on Tyler Linderbaum. You got to get up on Jahan Dotson, because it does force me to watch more film sometimes.
Speaking of the Bears, were we talking about the Bears?
We're always talking about the Bears.
Yeah, that's my awkward way of bringing it to the Bears. But, Matt, I remember you being on one of the shows at the Score before Matt Nagy was hired, and you forecast the hiring of Matt Nagy. You're saying that he was a hot candidate, and you linked him to the Bears, and your prediction was correct. What has been, in your opinion, what did you think of him then? Like, why did you think he was suited to be an NFL head coach? And do you think that you were wrong in an assessment of that, or we were all wrong in that assessment?
Well, I was wrong. I definitely was. And you're right. Like, I did link that. I know for a long time they played the clip as part of the intro when I come on every week. And I looked at Matt Nagy, and you really expected that he was going to bring that Kansas City offense wherever he went, right? That was going to be, he was going to take it with him. And it hasn't happened. And I think that's where I was wrong. Ryan Pace was wrong. Everyone who said this is the guy. And hindsight's always 20/20. Everybody wants to go back and be like, no, I actually wanted this head coach. That's easy to say now. But I think the expectation was that we would get more of and even, at the time, RPOs weren't as prevalent as they are now, but you still thought you were going to get pre-snap motion, and you were going to get an offense that worked in levels, especially in the passing game of, okay, we were seeing that when Nagy left Kansas City, already. And so you thought you were going to get that. What has happened, and even early on, bringing in the former Oregon coach as his offensive coordinator and a Notre Dame offensive line coach, it was like, oh my gosh, he's building this really diverse staff that's going to have all these unique ways to look at football. And then they blew that staff up really quickly. And so I think what we're seeing now is it's just so conservative, and it's so boring. And, Layla knows, and a lot of your listeners know, I live south of Kansas City. So what I see most often is Chiefs football, because that's what's on TV here. It reminds me of Andy Reid before Patrick Mahomes. That's what this offense reminds me of. And not just in that Patrick Mahomes allows you to do things that, Andy Dalton and Alex Smith don't, but you're almost afraid to try. You're just, hey, if we're conservative and we move the chains, we'll play good defense, we won't turn the ball over, we will win 9 to 10 games a year. And they have. But to be competitive at a higher level and to not have the, ugliness of last week, I think the game has changed where you got to open things up. To not have pre-snap motion at all for Justin Fields is negligent. Like, that's just irresponsible as an NFL coach. And, to not try to move him around. Justin had his faults last week, and I tweeted this. He deserves some of the blame, but my goodness, you did not help him at all with what they set up as far as the play calls.
Well, and that's what we were talking about, Mark and I, before the show started, Matt, was you watched Justin Fields all the time in college. You watched a ton of film on him. You studied Ohio State for not just him, but for the talent they had that you knew was going to be in the upper rounds of the drafts. And I know because of that, you knew what game plan would be able to suit him pretty well. And what did you see out of his first start on Sunday?
I do think that he was waiting for things. I know there was a quote about, the game wasn't that fast for me. It was actually kind of slow. I don't agree with that. I think he was hesitant. He was waiting for openings, which you just can't do in the NFL. But also, I just don't think they did anything to utilize the matchups to try to get those one-on-one looks that are such a big part of what you would consider like a West Coast spread offense. You're trying to get players out in space where they can find those matchups. There was none of that. And the Cleveland Browns have a good defense. They really do. Greg knew some of their rookie corners playing lights out. Like that. It's a good defense. It really is. But what they put out there was just, it seemed to me like there was no effort to exploit those matchups. And, 9 sacks. Like, I know Myles Garrett is really good, but 9 sacks. After the first 2 from Myles Garrett, did you think about maybe helping? Like, let's chip this guy. Let's put a tight end over there. Let's roll the pocket. Let's run at him maybe to loosen things up a little bit. Like, they didn't adjust at all. And so I know everybody says, like, oh, the Bears don't fire coaches in season. And I've had people tell me, the Nagy has at least one more year. After Sunday, I don't know that anyone can confidently say that when Justin did look bad. 6 of 20 is not good, right? But so much of that was he had no time to do anything because they didn't try to speed this offense up or put any motion in pre-snap, any post-snap motion to the pocket to take advantage of. This is an athlete who, like you said, Layla, we watched him at Ohio State. He's 6'3", 230 pounds, and runs a 4.4. And you're not going to move him around? That's just, I don't understand it at all.
Is Matt Nagy, and maybe you kind of just gave the answer, can he do anything at this point to salvage his job, whether it occurs in season or after the season?
I think so, but I do think that he's probably looking at it through the lens of we have to win games, which I maybe he's been given that, that message from the front office and ownership. But I would think that, okay, you traded up. You don't have that first-round pick next year that we talked about. You traded up to take Justin Fields. I would think Matt Nagy saving his job would be showing that he's the right coach to get the most out of Justin. So saying, okay, we need to stop this. We have 3 quarterbacks. They're all competing for the job. You need to go all in because it's ugly. And I know there's going to be people that say Justin's not ready. I have people tell me that all the time. You have to get him ready. Some of that is your job. And we've heard so many coaches, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. Nick Saban was saying it Monday night on the Manning cast. You have to take your scheme and fit it to your players, not vice versa. And so that's what I would want to see for Nagy to keep his job is, okay, here is kind of the foundation of my scheme, but we're going to add some things in that are going to help Justin Fields. So we're going to, run the option, do some things that are going to just keep defenses honest. Things like we're seeing Trevor Lawrence do, things like we're seeing Kyler Murray do, implement some of those elements into this offense just to loosen things up because there is not a more boring, bland offense in the NFL right now than what we're seeing in Chicago.
Well,
scathing but true.
Yes. I do wonder, for both of you, what happens if the Bears beat the Lions? And most of us think the Bears will beat the Lions. And let's say Justin Fields, throws for 220 yards, a couple of touchdowns, maybe throwing a pick in there. Then is it like it's all back on, everything's good, and we're all happy, and the Bears are 2-2?
I mean, Layla, I'm curious to hear what you think, but I do think that
open to the class
solves everything, right? Like it does.
Winning is the best medicine, yes.
It is. But I will say this, guys, the Lions are a lot better than that record. I mean, it was a 4th and 19 conversion by Lamar Jackson and the longest field goal in NFL history. It's the only reason they didn't beat the Baltimore Ravens last week. So I know that in Chicago, you guys probably look at it and it's like, it's the Lions. Yeah. I wouldn't be like that. I don't think you can do that. I think you have to be like, okay, this team is 0-3, but they're playing much better than that record.
I agree. And for that reason, I think it's going to be a close game. And if I'm going to get into this a little bit in the next segment, I also think of the under, but that's just me. When it comes to the weekend of college football, I know we touched on it a little bit, but I want to get to 2 games that I'm keeping an eye on, perhaps almost exclusively in their windows. And that's the 11 a.m. kickoff tomorrow with Arkansas at number 8 in Georgia, and then Cincinnati and Notre Dame. And that game at Soldier Field wasn't as close as the score. Well, the score doesn't indicate how close it was with Notre Dame and Wisconsin, but the way they closed that game out was pretty notable.
Yeah, it was. You're right. 11 a.m. I'm going to have the double TV setup going because I have to watch my Longhorns play at TCU, but that Arkansas-Georgia game is going to be amazing. Barry Odom, the defensive coordinator at Arkansas, has them playing so well. Jalen Catalon, their safety, is a first-round prospect. So watching him go against JT Daniels and a Georgia offense that they are just so explosive. I know we talk about Georgia this year, and it's the defense. It's Jordan Davis and Adam Anderson and how loaded they are on that side of the ball, which is very true. But this is an offense that is incredibly explosive. They have a lot of potential with Zamir White in the backfield. JT Daniels, a very good distributor at quarterback. And I think we're going to learn a lot about whomever wins this game. If Georgia wins this game, you could say, okay, maybe they are ready to compete with Alabama. And that week 1 win over Clemson doesn't look as good right now, but maybe this is a legitimate team. If Arkansas pulls this off, my goodness, Sam Pittman is coach of the year, like already. You could just go ahead and say it after 4 weeks. So that one will be fun. Cincinnati, Notre Dame, this is like draft prospect galore because you had Desmond Ridder, Josh Wiley for Cincinnati on offense, Ahmad Gardner on defense. But Notre Dame, I don't know that anyone in the country is playing better than Kyle Hamilton right now at safety, number 14. He is everywhere for them. 3 picks already. He is just everything you could want from a college defender. So not that Notre Dame lacks talent across the board. You guys know I love Kyron Williams at running back. But it will be a very fun game to watch. 2 coaches who I think are a lot alike. So just watching how they prepare for each other, it definitely makes it in that 1:30 window. Like Ole Miss, Alabama at 2:30 Central Time for us is one that I'm going to be focused on. But that the 1:30 kick is pretty exciting too.
I agree. I think the Lane Kiffin versus Saban matchup ought to be fun to watch as well. But Notre Dame looking good last week. And playing this Cincinnati team, to me, is what I'm definitely watching. Matt Miller, we always appreciate the perspective and the time. Good luck, and have a great football Saturday.
You guys do the same. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt. Matt Miller, you can find him at NFL Draft Scout. He is one of our favorite football minds. I like it when we can all combine our efforts together. And next up, Joe Ostrowski, who I think I'm going to have to parse some Bears game stats with him because I need somebody to talk to, not just you, Grody. I feel like we've got to bring Joe in. Yeah, that's next.
Apparently we're not working out. This is not where you're on to Joe.
Yeah, I mean, we all are, so it's not working out with me either now, is it? You're on to Joe.
Yeah, that's true.
And also just baseball stuff, too. I think there's some odds we need to discuss. So Joe is coming up next.
Okay, let's do it.
This is Sports Radio 670 The Score and 670thescore.com, Chicago sports station.
I have a daily sports betting show.
We couldn't live without Joe Ostrowski.
I don't think we could. And also, Joe might be overtaking, I think, me for second most psychic person in Chicago sports with some of what he's thrown down. This segment is brought to you by PointsBet. It is Joe Ostrowski. And Joe, can we do therapy first before we get into some information, but they're all connected?
Yeah, let's do it. What do we have?
Okay, so every week, Cody Westerlin asks some of us score peeps for our Bears predictions.
Peeps.
And I overconfidently have been giving the Bears at least expecting them to score over 20 the last 3 weeks. And not so this case. I came up with the most Bears-ish, frustrating, but still getting the job done score I could possibly come up with, which was 13-10. They beat the Lions, which is aggressive given that the over is higher.
It's not that aggressive, actually.
Really?
The betting market agrees with you 100% because the number keeps coming down every time I take a look. It keeps coming down. So, yeah, I get it. If we're going to see turnovers again, it's something that I think a lot of people don't take into account is a lot of times when you see the turnovers, you assume under, but you might want to look to the over because you get, obviously, some short fields there, which could set up. Maybe Fields or Goff. Both of these guys are prone to turn the football over a little bit. So I get where you're coming from. My problem is 41.5. Yeah, it does sound high between these two teams, but that's the bottom floor nowadays. With this NFL, that's where we start. I believe this is the lowest total, or now the second lowest total of the week. So people not expecting there to be a lot of scoring on the lakefront.
Additionally, I want to gloat because you and Dan were like, oh, Fields is totally going to throw for over 200 yards. That was a little low.
Layla's like, he's going to be sacked 9 times.
I did not predict the 9 times sacking. However, I am not happy about our discussion that led me to the conclusion I made where it was somewhat correct on Sunday.
Yeah, it was 200, which is nothing nowadays. That's nothing. That was the assumption that there would be some semblance of a professional offense, which we did not see, which is why you can find Matt Nagy to be the favorite everywhere that posts first coach fired, Matt Nagy. I'm like, that's just wrong because we know how the McCaskies roll. Don't bet that if you see it out there. Trestman wasn't fired after losing, was it 40-plus in back-to-back weeks? Yeah. Getting embarrassed on national television? It's not going to happen. It may happen at the end of the season, but that's not happening now. I mean, I try not to overreact, especially when you're breaking stuff down in betting. You can't do that. But my first thought on this game is I kind of wish Dan Campbell was the head coach.
You know that Chicago would be as entertained as Detroit is by that man. I think we are even more prepared to be entertained by that man.
We all made fun of him. We laughed at him all offseason. But the funny thing is, Groats, look at these games. They're supposed to be 0-3, but they're playing 3 Super Bowl contenders so far until this week. San Francisco, Green Bay, and Baltimore. And I know it was kind of a blowout in the end against Packers, but they were hanging around. They almost covered the spread in all 3 games. The refs helped the Ravens a little bit last week, or a lot bit at the very end, and all of a sudden that San Francisco game was close. It was a 1-score game at the very end. So the Lions are hanging around, and that is why it looks like they are what we call the public dog. It reminds me of where we were 2 weeks ago. Bears go on the road at the Rams. They're playing a Super Bowl contender. It's a rout. Everyone's down on the Bears. They're coming back home against the Bengals, which maybe they're pretty good. Maybe. They have a 3-1 record. I don't think they're quite that good. We saw that on display last night. We need a big comeback against the Jaguars.
Right.
But then last week happened. On the road against what I believe is a Super Bowl contender at the Browns. Now the Bears are coming back home. They are a slight favorite against a bad team. Everything in my sports betting life that I've learned is you have to kind of close your eyes and just take the Bears in this position. Because as bad as it was last week, that's not reality. They're not that bad. And teams coming off a big win when they look great, people react and they're going to bet on that team the next week, and the line's usually inflated. So they're not that good either. But I don't know that I'll be able to do it with my own money, but I think you have to look at the Bears. I mean, look, bottom line, the Lions are a bottom 5 team in the NFL, even though they're competing right now, and you're only getting 3 points with the Lions. I want to bet on the Lions when they're getting more than a touchdown.
I agree with you. I think that is the fair way to look at this. We're all the same, I feel like, in our confidence level, which is they should be better than the Lions, even though last week was really bad, so Bears.
Hey, we were saying the same thing last year in December when the Bears had lost 5 in a row, and then Detroit came to Soldier Field, and the Bears lost their 6th straight game.
They did.
And then that birthed the saving of Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's jobs, apparently, with the 6-game losing streak turning around. I can't do this again. I can't do this today. I do want to ask you about a game that is of large focus in the NFL this weekend, and that's the Buccaneers and Patriots game. And I guess there's a bunch of fun Tom Brady associated wagers people can make.
Well, this is wild. I've been talking to people about this game all week. Everyone is. This is what's the big story in the NFL this week. And there's some really good games that are kind of going under the radar, like the Seahawks and the 49ers, because there's so much focus on Bucs Patriots. Talk to people that have been in this business for decades. They say the action on this game, they've never seen it. It's like a Super Bowl. There are Brady props that have been up all week, which is something you don't see unless we're talking about the Super Bowl. And all of these sports books are saying 98% of the bets are coming in on one side. They're all backing Brady. And the line is up to a touchdown now. And some of these Brady props, he's going to break the record early in the game. I wonder if they're going to stop it. I believe he's 68 yards away from that. You can bet on which player is going to catch the pass that ends up breaking the record. What will be the longest completed pass of the game? Will it be greater than his age of 44? Will Brady rush for more yards than his jersey number of 12? That is 20-1, a huge payout there. Will Brady set the passing record at Foxborough, which is 444 yards? You can get that at 13-1. The public is all in on the Bucs in this one.
I don't think he gets that many yards.
No. Yeah, New England has a pretty good defense. The problem is that Patriots offense, I don't see how they can hang around. We've been talking about, obviously, with Fields here, the rookie quarterbacks and their struggles early.
Yes.
Well, Mac Jones was looking like the best of the group, but then last week happened. He threw 3 interceptions. So, no big deal, kid. The world's watching. Here's Tom Brady coming back home.
I need to digress back into the Bears really quickly because I was Bears. I was thinking about this when we were talking. Does the play caller who calls the plays on Sunday, does that factor into anything in the betting world?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But we don't have that information. Okay.
Yeah.
It kind of depends who you ask. So I was asking some people earlier this week who would know. Like, all right, so is there a difference between Fields and Dalton and Foles? Like, some said no after mocking me. So I had to ask that sort of a question. And then some said yes, that Dalton is worth a little bit more, maybe a half point or a full point more than anybody else. So some had the order being Dalton, Fields, Foles. Some had the order being Dalton, Foles, Fields.
Dalton, Foles, Fields. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, everything was like earlier this week,
like
everything
Nick
was on the
Foles,
table.
but
Yeah, it was all there.
It's all on the table, yeah, as we await who's going to start that game. And then also, this has been something that Dan and I have touched on, but not maybe summarized, is Major League Baseball's awards for the season. I feel like there's a couple of those where the odds are still up in the air, and NL MVP is one we've discussed. There's the Cy Young race. What can you tell us?
Well, we've known that the AL MVP is the only one that's done. And that's been a wrap for quite some time. I kind of feel bad for Vlad Jr. What a year. And he has zero chance at being the AL MVP because of Ohtani. If we stick to the AL side for a minute, Robbie Ray threw last night against the Yankees, and he's the favorite. He was the heavy favorite going into last night. That number came down a little bit because for the first time this year, he allowed more than 4 runs, 4 hits, and I believe they were all home runs against the Yankees. But he's the favorite. But, these voters are fickle. I don't know what they're going to do. They might vote in Garrett Cole. Robbie Ray is minus 500 at PointsBet. NL MVP. Harper has been terrible this week. He hasn't done anything against the Braves all season long. And if you look today, Baseball Reference War, Fangraphs War, Soto is the second favorite, and he's the runaway leader. So Juan Soto could win that. He's the underdog at plus 200. And this week, the favorite flipped in the NL Cy Young race. Burns is now the favorite, and not Scherzer of the Dodgers. Scherzer, you could have got him when he was traded at 100-1.
Oh, that's crazy.
Do you guys know that, and I know that Ohtani is going to win it in the MVP, but Marcus freaking Semien has 44 home runs. Plays for the Blue Jays, 1-year deal. What an underrated career that guy has had.
He said that was the all-time record for second baseman with home runs in a year.
It was marred by being error-prone, I would argue, for the first at least 2 or 3 years of his career.
Why aren't White Sox fans more angry about that? I want to stir up White Sox fans because he used to play for the White Sox.
Do you put up with this on a regular basis, Joe?
No.
Stir it up?
I don't. I would not.
Brody just stirring the pot like that?
That's usually
what he does. That's
Robert.
what he does. He goes in the air. He's like, hey, this guy's a weight fluctuator. You know, that guy is.
I didn't do that. I can only say it because I am too.
But it's grody.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of Terry Boers. He can say whatever he wants. Nobody's really going to get mad at him.
I know, because they're just so dang likable.
Yes.
It's such a problem. Well, as usual, Joe, we appreciate it. You are great joining us on the Circa Resort and Casino Hotline. Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, home of the world's largest sports book. And guess what? If you go, you're a little smarter thanks to Joe O. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much. Early odds tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Sam Panianovich is my guest. He's out in Boston covering sports betting.
Sam.
So, yeah, we got plenty to talk about, some interesting angles for the Sunday night game tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
That is the OG crew right there.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
See you, man.
Coming up next, more of what you heard?
Yes. Oh, I got some good behind-the-scenes Bears audio.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Let's do it next on The Score.
This is Sports Radio 670 The Score and 670thescore.com. Chicago Sports Station.
He'll move inside the number. Shotgun pitch left. Montgomery looking for help and gets a little bit, but he does not get the first down. Needed the 27, and he won't get there.
Oh, boy.
Well, when you put it like that, we think you're anyway, Jeff Joniak and WBBM.
Jonesy.
I am looking forward to the game on Sunday. Why? Why do I do this to myself? And more of what Mark Grody heard. You were on fire today.
So
you're just like, here's Hallis Hall. We're going to put it in the studio for you.
So David Montgomery comes up to the podium. This is actually last week. Comes up to the podium, and it's his time to speak to the media.
3-0 Cubs, one away, minute.
It's just so good.
And inside the media, it's a sliding glass door that closes the media room. So outside of the sliding glass door, all of a sudden appears Darnell Mooney. Players never come into the media room, but Darnell Mooney is standing outside of the microphone room where David Montgomery is, and he's kind of egging on David Montgomery. Then all of a sudden, David Montgomery does like 10 push-ups, and we're all like, what the heck is going on here? And listen to this conversation evolve.
Why did you have to do those push-ups? Because he beat me in bowling. What? He beat me in bowling.
Oh. You haven't even played Patsy yet, though, have you?
He's scared. I'm waiting on him.
Mark Potter.
That's not true. That's never true. That has never been true for a day in his life, David. No.
Are you sidekick?
It's just his hype. No, I know. Hype man.
I need to get me one now.
Patsy almost worked for the Bowling Hall of Fame.
He almost don't ever cut it.
His only response to you is time and place, man. That's it.
Why don't I hear you talking? I'm waiting for you to throw me some shots so we can go do this.
I'm a silent assassin.
We get hooked. That'd be easy for me.
Hey, my son bowled a 299 this week, and I taught him everything he knows.
You know what? I don't want to see him then. Jeez. Okay, I'm done talking smack to you. You win.
I love that.
Yeah, so David Montgomery and the Mark Potash of the Chicago Sun-Times. And Potash, like I just learned this year, he is like a serious, big-time, badass bowler. Like he can go bowl a 250 any night. Like he's like brilliant. So that's why David Montgomery and the Bears. It seems like the Bears have really gotten into bowling. And who doesn't love a good bowling night? You know. Yeah.
The greatness of Pete Weber.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Bowler.
I covered bowling for NBC.
Did you really?
Yeah. And like nationally, I covered the Bolero Elite Series. Shout out to Sean Rash, who is a local bowler, huge sports fan.
Shout out to you for I was watching the Marquee Sports Network, and there was apparently a rerun of a large weightlifter outside of Wrigley Field, and there I see the one and only Layla Rahimi and Ryan Dempster just dropping knowledge and asking great questions, and I was entertained by the knowledge that you got. I was like, I didn't know Layla and Ryan Dempster knew about weightlifting.
Well, the beauty of weightlifting is we all do it. Do you even lift, bro? But Julius Maddox was trying to break his own record, and he's trying to get to 800-pound bench press, just a clean classic.
Oh, my God.
And he's close. He's at 786. So, unfortunately, once you do it once, it's kind of like boxing. You have to train for it again because your body's not meant to lift that kind of weight. So he's working up to it again, but I appreciate that. That was also fun. But either way,
yeah,
David Montgomery's relationship with the media, I feel like, should be showcased because – I agree with everybody saying he's the key asset offensively on this team right now, producing no matter what the situation is. But also giving us a lot of insight and having some fun, too, which I think is necessary. It shouldn't be all doom and gloom this week, even though it was so bad. You need some fun in your life.
Yeah, and the really interesting thing about David Montgomery, if you want to get into it, when he was a rookie, he was very difficult to speak to. He would give us 1 and 2 and 3 word answers. He didn't seem to really want anything to do with us, and I think that was more of a following protocol and not wanting to like he felt he knew his place in the locker room, so he didn't really want to talk to us. And I remember like it was tough. It was tough like trying to do one-on-one interviews with him. And then I remember all of a sudden, I'm going to go talk to him again. I think this was it last year or 2 years ago? I think it was the end of 2019. And I was like, I started talking to him, asking questions, and he just completely opened up. And he has been like that. He's been just terrific this year, it's great to hear him. And he seems like really earnest with his words. I remember I asked him last week for the pregame show. I was like, what is it about you? Why don't you go down? Like, where does that come from? And he just looked at me and goes, Walter Payton never went down. And I'm like, Bears! And
the most Bears.
Oh yeah, and he loves like Bears history and all that kind of stuff. So like they're like sometimes you're like, okay, you're just saying stuff that sounds good. That's what a lot of players do. I'm not saying in that locker, but you know how it is. They say what
they know how to work through.
Yeah, you have to. And I would do the same thing. I would say things that fans want to hear and just let it out like that. But
wait, what?
Of course, don't you want to just say what the people want to hear if you're a player, if you're an actual?
Oh, if you're a player that you want to do that.
Yeah,
I get that. I thought you were saying you did that for a second.
No. I'm a straight shooter, Layla. It's just everything coming out of my mouth. It is just like straight gospel.
Are you trying to get us struck by lightning?
Yeah. Why are you looking over there?
Well, you were talking about related to players speaking to the media and just saying things to say them. And, it's the right thing to say. A lot of them, like Robert Quinn, I can remember, talked about being better than last year. Mm-hmm. And David Montgomery had this quote about actually being better in June.
It wasn't enough for me last year, just knowing my untapped potential that I had within myself. As far as like my leadership last year, I didn't do as well as I felt as I could have done. So for me, it was definitely like a motivational tool for me to take the proper time that I needed to, tack the offseason properly as far as like the way I plan on leading this year and the way I plan on helping this team and this offense more so than none. But it was a big offseason for me, and it's still an offseason. We're in OTAs right now. And once OTAs is over, we'll have another month to where I can still prepare to do what I need to do for this offense and for this team. So I'm just doing everything that I can to try to get better every day.
He's backing it up. He
is, and he also had that really poignant quote about his relationship with the media and being self-aware. And he's like, you guys are just trying to do your jobs, and you've been good to me, so why shouldn't I be good to you? And I was like, you are the best, David Montgomery. I'm so happy you are here.
Yeah, and he's fifth in the league in rushing so far. So believe it or not, through it all, and it has felt like a mess through 3 games, David Montgomery has been good when he has been afforded the opportunity. And I think that we can, I feel like we've been saying this, though, for so long, like for every week, like since 2018, like they got us down. I really think this is going to be the week where the running back, whomever it is or what, is going to get 25 to 30 carries. Let's face it, if Justin Fields looked like he did last week at Cleveland and he wasn't good, the offense wasn't good, I think a part of what the Bears have to do against Detroit is to run the hell out of the football. And I don't look when Nagy came here, I loved what he was saying. I was down with pass the ball to run the ball and all of that stuff.
I wasn't down with that, actually. But everything else I liked.
Yeah, the downfield passing elements of a spread offense, the whole thing. It sounded and looked great, and I was ready for a change in the whole Bears football thing of run the football and play defense. Keep the defense, but maybe throw the football more. And I think now, and until further notice, until we could see a modern NFL offense again, everybody has to accept that it's going to go back to running the football.
That's the myth of the spread, my friends, after covering it since about 2002-1. The myth of the spread is that it's all passing, but no, you have to run in order to pass.
Was that before?
Still the case. Even with Boise State, when they were like in the 2009, like Brian Harsin wild offense.
Oh my God.
Nope. Even then, you have to run to pass. All right, that's my sage point for the day. Lawrence Holmes is up next. Transition is always fun with Les Grobstein. What is Mark Grody going to do with Lawrence Holmes for transition?
Grobber's coming in?
No.
Oh, is Grobber working with Lawrence?
No, but Lawrence is here. What are you going to do?
Holmes and Grobstein, noon to 2.
No.
I would like that.
And Lawrence saw someone last night that I think we all need to talk about.
That's our starting point.
Yeah, it has to be.
I'm Erin Ryan, political commentator, comedy writer, and host of Crooked Media's Hysteria.
And I'm co-host Alyssa Mastromonaco, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff for President Obama.
Each week on Hysteria, we are joined by a team of hilariously opinionated ladies to discuss the headlines from the serious to the absurd.
We cover everything from reproductive rights to rom-coms and break down the political news of the week and cultural stories that affect women's lives.
New episodes of Hysteria drop every Thursday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So why is life insurance hard to get after 50?
Good question. The answer? It's not with the 995 plan. If you're age 50 to 85, apply for life insurance with no health questions to answer. Acceptance is guaranteed. Pretty easy.
I'll say.
Options start at $9.95 a month, so it's easy to afford. Learn more at colonialpenn.com.
Where can I apply?
It's easy. colonialpenn.com.
Limited benefit first 2 years. Ages vary in some states. Jonathan is compensated for his appearance. Plan is underwritten by Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company.
We love our cellular shades from Blinds.com. They're beautiful and make our entire house feel more like home.
Thousands of customers update their home every month with Blinds.com. Whether you just moved to a new place or just want to give your home a little love this fall, go to Blinds.com for brand new window treatments and make your house feel more like home. Blinds.com makes it easy and affordable to upgrade your whole house with the latest styles, premium materials, and even motorization, with no hidden fees or misleading quotes. Not sure where to start? Get advice from a Blinds.com professional design consultant for free. Whether you want to do it yourself or have them handle the measuring and installation for you, Blinds.com has you covered with free shipping and a 100% guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com now to shop and save up to 35% off site-wide. That's Blinds.com for up to 35% off. Blinds.com. Pay over time with PayPal credit at Blinds.com. PayPal credit is subject to credit approval. Visit Blinds.com/PayPal for details. Rules and restrictions may apply.